It's going to be a fun year, I think, in Wisconsin. Jordan Austin, NRA ILA's Wisconsin State Liaison, is with us. And Jordan, thanks for coming on the show tonight, sir.
Absolutely, Cam. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, pretty good. Enjoying the new year so far.
Yeah, well, that's, a couple weeks you're going to be running ragged, I'm sure, as the legislatures get back in session. And Wisconsin is going to be a state that like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to cover what happens in Wisconsin this year because NRA has a very aggressive agenda. What are you hoping to accomplish in Wisconsin this session?
Well, I think we're all excited by the November elections. It's been talked about on the news, every news outlet, how, that not only did, Republicans take back the governor's office, but flip both chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have a very strong, very solid program majority now. And, we're very proud that we took such an active role in that election and came out successful. So, we're looking forward to a great session where we can accomplish a lot. Hopefully we can get, maybe set, a landmark as creating, one of the best concealed carry laws in the country, because we have the opportunity with a lot of program people in that state to come up with something very unique. While they are one of the last ones, everyone seems to be really excited to accomplish this legislation because it's been such a long time coming. So it sounds like everyone's open to all sorts of ideas, including hopefully the ideal situation, which would be a constitutional carry bill, similar to what we have in Arizona and Alaska.
And I know that Wisconsin is not the only state where constitutional carry is going to be on the table. NRA has announced it's a priority in Iowa as well. I think Utah, additionally. And it's interesting that, as you mentioned, Wisconsin, one of the last two states in the country without any form or fashion of concealed carry laws. And yet, Jordan, the idea of constitutional carry is gaining a lot of steam. Do you get the impression that a constitutional carry is going to be the standard moving forward now?
I would have to think so, just from the amount of groundswell it's gotten over the past several years, especially with Arizona just accomplishing that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have two U.S. Supreme Court rulings in the books, which have just affirmed and reaffirmed everything we've said throughout the entire existence of the NRA, that this is a pre-existing individual right. And additionally in Wisconsin, earlier this year, I want to say several months ago now, there was a ruling in the local courts that said that the prohibition on concealed carry in Wisconsin is unconstitutional, and should be repealed. Just outright repealed. It was very judge didn't say legislation should be passed, similar to the previous Hamden and Fisher cases from several years ago.
Yeah,
where they only allowed for concealed carry under certain circumstances. But this new ruling, while it didn't go to the Supreme Court in Wisconsin, it set a very clear standard that a flat-out prohibition is illegal and unconstitutional. So you have a lot of momentum. A lot of people talk about this case and saying, look, the court's already said this. It just makes sense. We have the courts on our side going for constitutional carry. Why not try for it? And I think we might meet with a lot more success than some people may think.
Well, it's funny because I remember a few months ago, before the midterm elections were held, and I think it was as the session was winding down, the last session, we talked with you about the fact that there were several Milwaukee area politicians who had come out and said, okay, what if we pass a very restrictive concealed carry law in exchange for a ban on private sales of firearms and a couple of other, anti-gun measures? And at the time, I remember, Jordan, you said, no, that's not going to fly. And here we are a couple months later talking about constitutional carry. They must be weeping in their beer tonight in Milwaukee.
Well, you know what? My first inclination and thinking back, back when all this was going on in the spring and you and I were talking, in the back of my mind somewhere there's a little spot that said, because you could see the groundswell going on, in other states around the United States, the unhappiness with the current administration, the Health Care Act and stuff like that. I kind of thought, I wonder if they can see the writing on the wall here in Wisconsin. They know that if they don't try to get something in exchange for this now, they're going to get steamrolled in the next session because they have a feeling that they're going to lose a lot of seats. And, maybe that's why they were trying. Maybe they could actually see and had a better take on it, being in the party that's getting beat up on the media the whole time.
Yeah.
And probably said, wow, if we don't cut some kind of deal, we're not going to have any say in it in the upcoming session. So it's kind of interesting to look at it from that point of view and kind of think back and be glad we stood firm by our beliefs and said absolutely not. We're not going to compromise, because we wouldn't be in a good position like we are now to write the bill ourselves.
You bet. Well, Governor Walker has been sworn in. The new legislators have been sworn in as well. Do we have an actual bill that has been introduced, Jordan? And do you have a time frame, if we don't currently have a bill, as to when one might be introduced?
There's a couple drafts floating around right now. We're just trying to get the bills are somewhat lengthy. Even the simplest bill in Wisconsin is a rather lengthy bill by the time the bill drafting gets done with it. So it's required a few different drafts and two separate bills already. So we're working on getting the final one back. We anticipate sometime. I was hoping right out of the gate, but Governor Walker has made some discussions and made some very serious points of view that he wants to work on jobs first and foremost and help out the state of Wisconsin. So it sounds like that's priority one on his agenda. And then, but this entire time, that gives us a little bit of time to work out the details of the language and have it ready. So as soon as they get a few job bills out of the gate, then we can come back and get this bill moving really fast.
Okay. And for people who are unfamiliar with the phrase constitutional carry, I would say, remember this explanation, because you'll be hearing the phrase a lot, I think, in the future. But in essence, what you're talking about is permitless carry, either concealed or open carry, but a streamlined right to carry license that can be used for reciprocity with other states outside of where you live, right?
Correct. Yep, you're exactly right. So there's a permit system in place, but only for reciprocity purposes. So if you have no intent on ever leaving the state, then you have the right to carry a firearm however you see fit, whether it be concealed or openly.
Okay. And, the fact that this has now been the law for several months in Arizona, I have not seen, Jordan, one single story complaining about constitutional carry. The media was going nuts about this in Arizona before the bill passed and became law. But after, it's been crickets chirping. They have not found a single thing to complain about.
It's pretty typical, and we'll probably find that throughout as more and more states start to pass this and nothing happens. It goes back to the original concealed carry legislation that was pushed. I'm sure you remember back the big fight we had in Kansas over it, having to override Kathleen Sebelius when she was then governor.
Yeah.
They claim there's going to be blood in the streets. The only media the news that's been reported regarding concealed carry in Kansas has to do with people, law-abiding citizens, exercising that right and using their firearms in self-defense and either stopping crimes or protecting themselves.
That's right.
So they've backed up everything we've said and refuted everything that the media has claimed. So I imagine we'll start seeing the same thing with constitutional carry as it starts passing more places. It'll be the same situation.
I think you're right, and again, I'm really looking forward to covering this issue in Wisconsin and the other states that you cover as well, Jordan. Get rested up, because like I said, I imagine from here on out, it is a marathon for you.
It will be.
All right, well, look forward to talking to you again very soon. Happy New Year, sir, and thanks for joining us tonight.